that, consultation might produce something that is what you call suboptimal.
It's not constitution. That's not, in fact, even the court rule.
Yeah. So. It might be it might achieve some suboptimal results.
Yes.
But Parliament ultimately, because 2 guys might be wrong, but what about 222 guys? That's why we really have to believe in Parliament.
Let's talk about ICC.
Yes.
And your views on that in terms of some of your members who've been indicted. You also have an issue pertaining to that. You support us pulling out.
Yes.
Very vehement in terms of us not being vague, but we go to the Hague. So now the tune has changed.
Yeah. And it has changed for the right reasons. It has changed for the right reasons because...
Explain right reasons.
First of all, Mr. Ocampo has subjected himself to, I was in Africa, talking to other African delegations, during in Addis Ababa, and I talked to the Senegalese delegation, and they're telling me, what's wrong with you Kenyans? You are our role model. Believe it or not. They're saying, if Kenya is going to the Hague, then the whole of Africa has guarantee of going to the Hague.
If people perpetrate crimes against humanity, why not go to the Hague?
Yes. No, what about our local systems?
But we have...
What about our local systems? It's very simple. Yes.
If we had a system, why did we fight in 2007?
Because we didn't have a new constitution. Very simple. We didn't have structures. Now, for what was all that purpose of going up and down around the country? I campaigned for this constitution. Just tell me what my effort was.
If we are unable,
I would have been better off growing roses.
But we are unable to sort out. We are unable to appoint a Chief Justice.
What's wrong with being unable? We are in the process. These things are evolutionary. They're not revolutionary. Did you expect us, we are supposed to be a democracy. Do you expect us to wake up one day and say hallelujah, start hugging each other, we agree? No. It happens. Remember in Germany, I think in 2006, when they formed the first grand coalition between the Christian Democrats and the Social Democrats, the one that brought Angela Merkel to be the chancellor. How long did that government take to form? It took 3 months, 3 months of lacuna. That there was no government that time.
But ours was formed because we had little faith in our judicial system.
Yes, precisely.
We still have an issue in setting it up now.
Yes. And we're going to set it up.
Back. At least meanwhile, we've got people who have unanswered questions pertaining to when justice will be done. And there was a light at the end of the tunnel. Victims. There was a light at the end of the tunnel in terms of an ICC process. Now you're trying to avoid that process because your guys have been mentioned. So all of a sudden, we're able to rectify our judicial system.
We are not saying
we had an opportunity. In fact, a member of your alliance did support a local tribunal. You did support her. So now all of a sudden it is a viable process to have a local tribunal.
Let me say something about. I'm very happy with this question particularly. Now the local tribunal that would have been formed by that time was a pendulum swinging in the air.
How?
Explain pendulum
swinging in the air.
Because the constitutional order that it was sitting on is the old order. And then we said, wait a minute, let us stop all business as a country. The president was jumping all over. The prime minister was jumping all over, saying let's have a new constitution. Yeah. So now, if we have now a local mechanism sitting, you cannot have, the constitution is the supreme law of the land.
True.
So if you have a local tribunal within, it's what we call,
which has schedules.
New wine,
set them up.
New wine in old wine scheme. So now we can have new wine in wine scheme.
Hold on that thought. Good morning. Welcome to the Power Breakfast. You have a question or comment?
Hello.
Hey.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
My name is Stanley.
Hi, Stanley.
I have a question. I have a comment and a question.
Yes, sir.
To the PNU spokesman. He tells us that he doesn't even know offhand the personnel running the secretariat. I would even know the party I follow. I know who is the CEO. I know who is the director of elections. I know who is the women affairs manager. I know who everything is. He also being economical with the truth also. Again,
yes.
We remember there's something called a gentleman's agreement.
Yes.
Which is on TV 2002.
Yes.
I think somebody told us that there was no agreement like the Prime Minister being offered anything, and it was just a gentleman's agreement. So I think we have a case study.
Okay, your question.
Then come to the ICC. somebody commented and said, the same tribe wants to be isolated even this time. And I think it's just a bunch of people not trying to take us to the ICC, which all Kenyans believe is the right path. And I'm telling you, they hold the biggest responsibility. If anything happens to any of the Kikuyu tribe in 2012, if anybody overshares to that, we are tired.
Okay. I'm gonna have to, okay, thank you, Stanley. I don't know if you asked your question though.
Yes.
Oh, you made a comment.
Yeah, I will not talk about, I will not really, don't want to spend time talking about the current office of the PNU. Because I've said we are in transformative process. Regarding the MOU of 2002, my view is that I take that with a pinch of salt. Really, if it was about Kibaki and Naira and gentleman's agreement, the reason we have spent time creating a new constitution is that we no longer are going to have gentlemen's or gentlemen's agreement in this country. Because, you know, whose word is right? Is it Raira's word or Kibaki's word? What I want to say is that, and it's something in this country we really have to really take seriously. History. We love history. And I believe history is a wonderful lesson to learn. But it's also a terrible bed to sleep in. But in Kenya, we love to sleep in the bed of history. Let's look forward. Let's not just drive the car with the rear mirror. Sometimes we need to look ahead. We need to look ahead. We might have our own differences, but let us really look ahead. And also let us look at, which brings also for me to the question of ICC and violence. Let us also look at other countries and the process that they have taken, their evolution process. I'll give you an example. You remember that war in Great Britain, the Irish War, and we had in Northern Ireland, isn't it? We had the British Army and we had what do you call them, the Irish Republican Army. After they finished the war, after they had their peace, whatever they call the Good Friday Agreement, they said no. Even the IRA guys who are in prison, they were released. And I wanted to check that for a fact. Even the guys who are, you know, doing terrible things in Belfast and all of that kind of thing, and that real terrorists, they were released. They said, peace for us is important.
True, very true.
And we want justice that is going to restore our dignity, which is called restorative justice.
Okay. Let me ask you.
Yes.
We had a meeting in Eldoret.
Yes.
It's very good that you are mentioning about the Irish wars.
Yes.
We had a meeting, a peace meeting.
Yes.
Ostensibly peace meeting by the president and Ruto and all the Kalenjin elders and the Kikuyu elders.
Yes.
Peace meeting.
Yes.
And all that is all about peace. That you are going to resettle IDPs.
Yes.
Not that the IDPs are going to be allowed to return
back to their land.
Those Irish people are released. Very good. They are released. Yes. But you have IDPs not even resettled.
Yes.
Not even being allowed to go back to where they came from.
Allowed by who? No, allowed by who?
The Kalenjin people who threw the Kikuyus out, or the Kikuyus who threw the Kalenjin out, or the Luos, or the Kisi. Everybody go back to where they were. Why not?
Let me say something. This is a subject I only know too well, the issue of IDPs. You remember that church that was burnt in Kiambaa? It took, I think, 2 years before those people were buried. During the burial of the Kiambaa, I was the chairman of that committee, and I could feel the animosity between the communities at that particular time. And the president was there, and none of these members of parliament from Kalenjin were there.
They were not there.
Yeah, and the president was in a very pensive mood throughout.
Now that we are the Hague, now that we have the Hague, mentioning Ruto, he can now come. He can now come for a meeting.
No. That's not the case.
That's the case.
That's not the case. I'm just trying to say that it's really unfair, Mr. Njao, that the kind of progress that has made in reconciling people, yeah, it is massive. It should be encouraged.
Oh yes,
it should be encouraged. If I want to reconcile with my brother,
the people actually who've been involved.
Just go to Eldoret. Just go to Eldoret now. In that stadium,
none of them, half of them.
But in that stadium, we had a dais with leaders. Okay, but they're not just Kikuyus encouraging leaders.
That's true.
Northeastern and the Ruyas. But all those people who are in that stadium, were they leaders really? Were they the politicians? No, other people. If Kikuyu Kikuyu people want to say, look, we have been hurt, we are hurting, we are bleeding. Yeah? We are painful, but we forgive you. The Kalenjin people say, we are sorry. Let us look for ways of substituting. Who am I sitting in my air-conditioned office in a lobby to tell them not to do it? It's really colors.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But is that happening?
Yeah, it is happening. The church is doing it, not just politicians. The church is doing it. Go and talk to the non-government organization. We should encourage that process every way.
Absolutely.
Yeah?
I agree with you. Let me ask
people lost their lives. People lost their property. That's not going to come back. What we can do in their honor is to really, plant the seed of peace, the seed of reconciliation.
Absolutely.
And I think something in the Rift Valley, let me say something. Kikuyus and Kalenjins are realizing one thing, that fate in the Rift Valley have conjoined them like twins. Like they are Siamese twins, there's nothing they can do. I might not like you, you might not like me, but unfortunately,
I don't agree with the analysis.
Final question before you go. Threat by some of your members of the PNU who said they would like to pull out of the coalition. How serious is that threat?
I think they are quite serious. And what they're saying here is that you only give a marriage that's not working. You only give it so many chances. But from where I sit, I can say that I do believe that the hulabaloo about the nominations, that I think it will come back to Parliament. And I think members of Parliament are itching for an opportunity to decide on these nominations. And when it's delaying to come to the full House,
so how serious is
they're just ventilating. In my opinion, it's ventilation.
So it's not serious.
They're not serious.
Yeah? They're not serious.
They're
just ventilating.
If something doesn't change within the current dynamics,
like what? Like numbers? The numbers don't change.
No, not numbers.
If the support you have from the people who are defecting from
what happened yesterday?
We just say the same thing.
They're not defecting. We're just having a common purpose. They're just having a common purpose. When these names are ultimately get into Parliament, and the full committee of the House is deciding, I think that will determine the next course of action.
If the rebels from ODM decide, let's make peace with each other, and they go back.
They're not rebels. They're the mainstream ODM.
Yeah. So, okay, the mainstream, yeah, exactly. If they say, okay, fine, we've agreed with each other, let's just move on, and you, PNU, don't have the numbers that you have now, will you still threaten to leave the coalition because you're sick and tired of the wranglings between the two principals?
Look, politics is not just about throwing doves and,
it's a game of numbers.
It's a game of numbers. I say democracy is a branch of mathematics.
And your numbers have been enhanced by the Kalenjin rebels.
Yeah, that is politics. Why are you in politics? You're in politics
too. The chest thumping. If you don't have the numbers...
Well, the other side would be doing exactly that, or even worse if we had them. So it's fair game.
Asante sana. It's been a pleasure to have you. Thank you very much. And thank you for your calls. Stand by. Johnson Mokazi is next with the news. Stay with us. We'll be right back.